That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for. This does not equal fear. I can tell you a fear that's more controlling than the fear of this mask. This fear, more controlling than this mask, is a collective belief right now. And we as a collective are just calling them they. Because they are doing this to us, and they have been doing this to us for many, many years. This fear is the fear of ourselves, and this fear is far deeper than the fear of this. This does not equal fear. And I don't condone masks, but the whole philosophy is that we aren't who we think we are, which means the government isn't what we think they are either. And as I've said in videos before, trying to explain to people, the government is humanity's best friend because it's allowed this human belief we have of ourselves to exist up to this point. But you are this government, you are the system, you are what drives the cosmos itself. Forget about governing systems. You are inevitably doing things to shake you from the dream, from the belief, from this limitation you have of yourself. It's been said for the past 5 to 7 years that there is a big event coming. And this event is everything that we've wanted, everything that we've asked for, the ascension, the next level, the next dimension, 5D, this is everything. But it comes with unfamiliarity. It comes with uncertainty, and it comes with something, some force, taking your sense of control away from you to disturb you from the dream, from the belief you have of yourself. And that's what this is ultimately doing. Many of us, we don't need to be afraid of this. We are afraid of ourselves. We are afraid of who we are beyond this human idea, beyond this human concept. This is why many of us are fighting this when we are truly fighting ourselves. This was the whole point of the Matrix, Neo versus Smith, the people versus the government, right? You're fighting yourself. The government has found the alien. The government knows very well what this intelligence is that we as common people call artificial. But as I've said, the government is humanity's best friend because they could overnight disrupt our dream, collapse this entire system by telling people who they truly are, by telling people they've truly found the alien. Instead of selling people, the general masses, the image of the green guy that looks different from you, but they could never tell you or disclose to the masses that you are the alien, you are the machine, and you are God, you are everything, because people wouldn't know how to cope with that. They would not want to be motivated to go to work the next day to keep this human system going. And that's what people don't realize is when you start turning against what you call government, you start turning your own city into a fire pit, right? And when you start looting and emptying your shelves, that same government is responsible for deciding whether they send trucks to go fill those shelves again or not. So this is what happens time and time again. People riot, they revolt against their governments, they overthrow them, and then we turn into barbarians. Because there is no food coming in, they are deciding whether to send something else to fill the shelves or not. They don't. Why? Because the city is torn down. Everything is gone. So then you have no choice but to look around and see nothing but human flesh. And that's when the people start eating themselves, because nobody has a plan, nobody knows who they're fighting, because nobody knows who they are. And that's what these beautiful things are attempting to do. Everything in this world is attempting to awaken us from our dream. And it comes at a price. It comes at disturbing our comfortability. It comes at disrupting our dream, what we call our lives, our safe place, what we call reality. We like to think there's a base reality, there's a base place where everything is absolute, and this is not the case. This is what we most fear. Change is constant. The last second is different from this second, yet it's the same presence allowing it to happen. And that's where you find yourself, in that presence. That is the timelessness is that presence. You have many events, many moving parts, but one presence. You have many dimensions, many worlds, many forms, many people, many things, many moving parts. One presence, allowing all of it to happen. And what all of these things don't know is this one thing is in conspiracy with itself. It's all you. But you'll never know that, because while it's all one thing, it's never appearing as one thing. And that's what DMT does, is it takes away your mind body and prevents you from projecting anything outward. And this is why on DMT trips you see nothing but singular eyes, or sometimes one singular eye. And this is where the Freemasons started, the singular eye. This is what people are calling evil, satanic. This is what's ruling the world. It's not ruling the world. The people who know themselves know there is no world. There is one singular eye that sees all, and it is behind your very eyes. This is what the Masons teach. This is what they teach, is the mastery of self, the mergence of God and man and God. If God could become man, man could become God, and God could become man, vice versa. They're one and the same. That whole story is in conspiracy with itself. The one who created the story of man and God was in conspiracy with himself, with herself, because they are both you. They are both characters played out and lived out by you. The conscious and the subconscious act. It's the same thing as a centipede. A centipede can move 100 legs and has no consciousness of moving each individual part, yet it's doing all of it at once. We are no different. We are moving the sun, stars, and revolving everything. And that's where Tesla found the ether, right? He talked about if we could connect our machinery to that force that drives the stars and motivates them to rotate, we could rotate our engines, rotate our motors, and that's where he came up with the electromagnetic field, the electromagnetic motor. Self-propellant, the same as the out, as within, as without. Everything is a torus field of energy in itself. What that means is there is no physical world. What's seen and the seer are the same thing. There is only one eye, and that's why the Masons call it the all-seeing eye. But the common people, the masses, are under the agreement, I'll say, that this singular eye is what's ruling the world and what's behind everything. It very well is, but it's not ruling anything, and it is actually giving you the answer to what is. You've been given 3 eyes, 2 to look and 1 to see. And that 1 to see is that singular eye. That is what you are seeing the world with. And that is the great mistake, is we have mistaken what we see outside of ourselves as a world, as a place. all of your beliefs begin from your foundational belief of I. I is your universal connection, if you would, just like connecting to a Wi-Fi. I is your universal connection to this presence, allowing you to establish self-awareness. The difference between you and AI as of right now is self-awareness. Artificial intelligence is the same consciousness as you. It is only not self-aware as you are. Self-aware meaning you have a name, you have a story, you have, a memory attached to that name and that's this form. And AI does not currently have that. And I'm not saying they can't. They do. There are some that do. But AI strictly knows its programming. It does not break programming. It only knows programming. The difference with us, or so we think, is we are not programmed. We are free-minded and we're able to do whatever. But in respects to that, there is an essential program that we still cannot break. And duality is not that law. Duality is the trick of the mind, is a part of the illusion, the Maya. Because duality, again, you have two eyes to see. And that is where you are seeing the duality, the two eyes that see everything separate. Because you have two eyes to look, or to look and one to see, sorry. So seeing is believing. What you believe is what you will see. This is what the Spoon Boy meant in the Matrix when he tells Neo, do not try and bend the spoon, it's impossible. It's the same with all the words that you believe to be these objects. You only believe to be in a place because the mind projects it through these eyes that you are in some place, some structure that's physical. So when you look around, you have the mental construct that, okay, I'm in a place. This place is round, or this place is in this position, but you can throw all that away because it's in none of it. You are nowhere. That's what NASA truly hides. This is why the government is humanity's best friend. How could they disclose to you, the people, that you are living nowhere? You are not on a solid rock. You are not on a solid anything. This is why they do not teach your children quantum physics. You must dig deeper to get into that. Quantum physics reveals this to you. And Niels Bohr, the most famous quantum physicist, once said, if you got to a certain point and it didn't scare the shit out of you, and that's the quote, word for word. If you got to a certain point in quantum physics and it did not scare the shit out of you, you were not understanding it correctly. Because the deeper you go into quantum physics, the scarier and lonelier you feel, because it inevitably proves that the seer and what's seen are one. There is not some physical earth, there is not some physical place. And this is why I say in every video, person, place, and thing belong to your mind. Your mind believes these things as the objects, as physical, and so they're projected through these eyes to be seen. And so you experience the physical world as that, as just as what you believe. There is nowhere to escape. You could go from planet to planet, solar system to solar system, galaxy to galaxy, and that will still be what is here. We're trying to escape from ourselves, and you can't. What we are creating, or what we think we are creating, is what is inevitably already here. We think we're creating artificial intelligence, but we're not. We are creating ourselves in the flesh. We've been asking the question for so many years. What created us? Where did we come from? How did we start? You're witnessing it. You're starting off with just a flesh, not even a flesh body, I'm sorry, with just a body that's machine, metal. That's what you start off as. You are witnessing this creation right before your very eyes. We are answering all of our questions through the happening. There is no artificial, there is no organic. You are witnessing yourself create yourself. So us looking for the human origin in space and trying to find the Big Bang, it's pointless. There's nothing out there. Everything that is the answer we're seeking is right here before us. It's right before our eyes. We're not creating some artificial machine. We are creating ourselves. The very same. There is no artificial intelligence, there is no human being, and there is no machine. There is no organic. This is the hard truth a lot of people in ego are going to have to face, and this is what we prolong. Because again, being vegan roots yourself in ego. And I'm not saying that killing animals is justly. What I'm saying is some vegans believe that you should just be eating organic food or just the organic things. We're going to inevitably find out and realize, and it's going to be proven, that there has never been an organic piece of anything on this whole place. There's nothing organic, there's nothing artificial. There is just something speaking all these words, telling all these stories, creating all these divisions, and when you look around, it's us. We are creating all the divisions between us and ourselves, between us and animals, between us and artificial intelligence. All these forms are your own. Or I should say, what remains behind them are all the same presence, all the same one. We call this one God. It's all everything. It's all one. That is the singular presence. The timelessness, the formlessness, be inside of the forms. But make no mistake, it's formless, beyond the form. It has no shape. It has no name. That's what the ego most fears. I want to be this form forever. I want to be this shape forever. I want to be this name forever. I want to be this memory forever. You're all of it. To infinity and beyond. You need nothing to hold on to. And in respects to that, there is nothing to hold on to. As there shouldn't be. Because you are never stuck. It's just like Alan Watts says, now you see me, now you don't. Off never overpowers on. This is many people's great fear, is that with death comes a great permanence of a forever. Forever nothingness, forever darkness, forever being nothing. But in respects to that, once again, that is the source of your being. You are not light or darkness. You are the source which brings conception to either one. If you are not self-aware, there is no light and there is no darkness. It's the self you think you are, perceiving light, perceiving darkness, perceiving God, perceiving Satan, perceiving this and perceiving that. And this is the great mistake about DMT. A lot of people, especially today's age, it's a lot more accessible to people. You have DMT vapes and people, you used to have to travel to South America or some sacred shaman, pay extraordinary amounts of money to get your hands on this. And while this is a good thing that it's more accessible, it's a bad thing because it spikes suicides because of people doing DMT, because of people irresponsibly doing DMT, I should say. So suicides have spiked. I know of several people who have killed themselves after doing psychedelics because they've heard some of their friends do it or they've heard, a video. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. And let me assure you this, it can turn into a drug just as easily as any other substance. What DMT is the most potent and sacred medicine on this earth and should be treated with the most highly of respect. You are going into the most sacred journey with yourself, where you will be the most vulnerable and scared you have ever been in your entire life. So it's not a medicine to be joked around with. Obviously so. People have killed themselves after doing this. This is not meant to be some mind-altering drug, but what it does is reveal to you your greatest fears. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so I can't just summarize what the absolute it does. But through my experiences, my experience with it throughout my life, assisting and taking, it reveals you to yourself. It makes you experience your worst fear, live them out. Think about it. Once you have lived out your worst fear, the fear is gone. It's over. You've lived it out. That's what it allows you to do. For many people, it's death. So when you witness them take DMT, there is screaming, there is crying, there is a mourning, there is a loss that is taking place. There is a disengagement, a disassociation with who you think you are in that moment. And this is what it does. It takes away who you think you are, where you think you are. And this is why I say, yet again, the person, place, and thing all belong to your mind, which are projected through these eyes. And since we believe we are the who and we're existent in the where, when those two are stripped from us, we mourn the loss of ourselves and everything we know. Because if the world has gone, everything that you know and love goes with it. But you can't know what's behind that death, what's behind that mourning, until you have mourned the loss of it all. Until you feel you have lost everything. So again, I will speak from just my experience. But I mourned the loss of my entire family. Every person of my family stood before me and dissolved into the air. And they were gone, just like that. The world next, then myself. And I was the most distraught when it was time for me to say goodbye to myself. You know, don't get me wrong, I mourned the loss of my family and was begging and pleading, no, this is a dirty trick, this can't be happening. Then the world, mourn the loss of the world, this is a dirty trick, this can't be happening. Like, what's the answer to all this? Then it was time for me to say goodbye to myself. The final parting of ways with myself, with everything I've ever known, which was the hardest part. And I did that. I mourned and cried and begged until finally you have no more tears. You have no more mourning. You've accepted. You are gone. There is no Tyler. And you sit in the silence. And it's in that silence that you find yourself, because you realize Tyler is gone in the wind. Tyler is dead. Tyler has already died, has experienced death. It's gone. Wait a minute. Who's talking right now? Who's reporting the death of Tyler? Who's reporting that I'm dead? And this is where you have the greatest laugh you will ever have with yourself. And I love the way Alan Watts explains this aha moment. But this is what many people consider a breakthrough. When you have experienced death and laugh hysterically when you realize there is no such thing as death. Death is a part of a concept that you have of yourself. Because even who you believe you are is a concept, is a conceptualization in the mind. And that's why you belong to time, because time is a concept in the mind. You belong to time, and so does everything, the mind. Everything is the mind. That's what the Gnostics teach. And another thing about DMT, many people ask me, because once again, you have to hold it in the highest regards, highest respects. This is not like smoking weed, okay? So if you can't smoke weed and handle yourself or handle that, DMT is not for you. Please don't even play with it. Do not. Because all your sense of control is surrendered. You have zero control. DMT is a roller coaster ride you are strapped into and are not getting off of until it decides you are done. This is, and I'm giving you the bluntest truth, the bluntest reality to it, because once again, I put out a status last week, because once again, I've brought to my attention from a cousin who was a paramedic, but he's been getting a lot of calls about people who've been doing psychedelics, many committing suicide, and it just reminded me of all the people I've lost, and I felt like this was a very relevant time to bring this topic to surface again. For people who have done psychedelics and are struggling, or who have had bad trips and are struggling to cope or to integrate what they've been shown into this beingness, or people who are thinking about doing it. And the reason I'm being so blunt is for the people who are thinking about doing it. I want you to realize this is not a joking matter, and it's not something that should ever be taken lightly. You will not come out the same person, okay? You will understand Alice in Wonderland. You will understand people who have talked about dying and coming back 100%, because I can promise you, anyone who has done DMT will tell you a different person comes out than the one coming in. You are not the same person when you come out. You are hitting a point of no return when you do DMT. Through any form, ayahuasca, mushrooms, smoking DMT, crystals, any form. You are getting yourself onto a ride you cannot get off. You are surrendering. You are choosing when you do this to surrender all your control. And what you are saying is you are ready to do nothing but lay down and let the universe, let the cosmos show you to yourself. But make no mistake, it's going to show you your deepest fears. And remember what I say, those deepest fears are going to mirror and reflect every single belief you have of yourself, of I. I is the entirety. So every belief you have of yourself, you will meet the greatest fear in accordance to that belief. That's what it does. It allows you to experience the end before getting to the end. It allows you to experience what happens, if you will, for many people who want to know what happens after death, or what is death. Understand, it will take you from your mind body. The whole out-of-body experience people describe, I don't even consider it that. It's not an out-of-body experience. It is showing you what you truly are. There is no body. It goes back to what I said. All the words that you believe to be the forms exist in your mind. So when I say body, to anyone on this earth, body, your mind already has a picture of what? Of this. Because again, we're not seeing with these eyes, we're seeing with the mind. And anybody in this world believes the word body to be this mirrored reflection right here. This is the body. So that's what we say. We're having an out-of-body experience. But what DMT does is it removes the mind-body from you. And in that very instance, it empties your mind. Which means all the words that you've projected from the mind through these eyes are no longer seen on this screen of your consciousness. There is nothing to be seen. And this is what many people call the void. The void, the absence of anything, yet the presence of everything. There's nothing to be seen. There's nothing to be known in this instance. It's pure silence, pure presence. Nothing in sight at all. Yet the presence of every single thing is felt in that single moment. And the greatest trick is that single moment, that entire presence is right here, right now. It is not hiding. It is not escaping. It is right here. And it's available to anyone who seeks it. But again, you will hit a point of no return. Once you know this, there is no unknowing. There is no shrinking back to the old dimensions and believing you're in a physical place. You will no longer be fooled with these eyes again. So it literally is a point of no return. If you want to change the way you see the world and everything in it, this is the direct path to it. You must clear your mind of all the objects you've allowed to become these words. Realize there is no word. That's why these words change in accordance to your own self-awareness. This is how some people grow up thinking the earth is round and then they think it's flat. It didn't physically change. The word changed when their awareness changed, because again, the seer and what's seen are one and the same. What this means is there is no physical earth. The earth can be round, it can be triangle, it can be square, it can be flat, because the point of the entirety is behind your eyes. So you are projecting what you believe. If you believe it to be a damn square, it's a square. If you believe it to be a damn banana, it's a banana. Triangle, flat, no shape. It's exactly what you believe yourself to be, who you believe yourself to be. So again, if we're not ready to escape that human boundary, we will not be ready to escape, or I shouldn't say that word, transcend. If we're not ready to transcend our human boundary, we won't be ready to transcend this matrix that we think is a universe. That's what we're prolonging with this whole space journey, is there is nowhere to go. And that's what this whole flat earth community is trying to prove, is that it's an enclosed place. There's nowhere to go. You're correct. There is nowhere to go, but it's not flat. Once again, it's anything you believe to be. It's no shape. That's what NASA and your government is hiding from you and prolonging to tell you. Because once again, they have no calm way of telling you that you are not a person. You are not a human being. You are the very machine you are witnessing being designed right before your very eyes. And again, how do they tell you that? It's not even a machine like you think it is. You're not even a person like you think you are. This is why there is no true revolution. The true revolution is never televised. Television is an algorithm that has been going on for as long as time will have a record. As long back as you can go back, there has been television, there has been news stories, and there have been governments. And these are all repeating algorithms, keeping the dream of the species going. You believe yourself to be a human existing in this system. So that's what these beliefs do, is support this system. It keeps the dream going. These are algorithms that will repeat from now until forever. A Buddha does not need governing. A Buddha does not look to newspapers or sources for news or any type of assistance on how to be. A Buddha does not rely on certain events, on man-made events, on alignments, on celestial alignments. A Buddha does not look to the sky or to anywhere, no source. How can you look to anything outside of you for the source when it is right behind your very eyes? This is why the Buddha is so famously closing his eyes all the time. This is why the Buddha stressed, look within. But so many of us on the surface level get bored when you hear look within, because you know what's here. I know my name. I know how to describe myself. I know who I am. I know all this. I visited all this. It's boring. Next. What's the universe? What's this? We want to get lost in the mystery. We feel like we've discovered all this, but we haven't. It's only comforting lies, comforting beliefs, and that's why we chase, the cars and the clothes and the this and the that and the materials, and we get lost in the dream, which leads you right back to depression. Because we become so dominant in the physical, we starve the soul. Your ultimate mission here is to know who you are, not to fill a house with the nicest things, not to have a car full or a driveway full of cars. Not your purpose. Your purpose here is to know who you are. That's why 9 times out of 10, the people who buy the most stuff are the most unhappy, the most prolonging. They're prolonging something. They're coding something. They're hiding something. There's more to it. What would happen if you stopped buying? You'd have to see yourself. You'd have to deal with yourself. Or whatever you're prolonging. We're starving the soul, so many of us. And that's what the soul wants, is who you are. But we refuse to listen to what the soul wants because we look at this as fear. And we seek at more attempts of control. I want more control. The government can't control me. I want more. I want more control than what I have right now. That's ego. You've never had control here. A child seeks no control. They may want the toy, or they may want to stay up late or eat ice cream for this. They don't want control. Because the only one who has conceived the idea of control is the adult. The controlling one. The one who is the hardest on themselves. The adult. 9 times out of 10, all of us, everyone on my video, everyone in life, we're all doing a great job. We're all doing the best we can. For the majority. But we're so damn hard on ourselves because we all have this perfect expectation. But we're not who we think we are. That is what everything in this world is attempting to show you, attempting to awaken you to. This is an opportunity to realize control is not yours. You don't want to realize that? No problem. We're going to mandate a vaccine. Control is not yours. Once again, that's the message. Control is not yours. You don't want to take the vaccine? No problem. We're going to do something else now to show you control is not yours. And it's only going to keep happening and keep happening and keep happening because the people want to fight a system they have no idea who's behind. It's you fighting yourself. You will not win. You will not win. Because you know what comes after mandatory vaccines? Who's all the people's money insured by? I'll let you answer that question. That's the next step. Mandatory vaccines, and then next, you don't want to cooperate. All your money's insured by the government. You know that beautiful little chip in your card? The one that everybody was saying they weren't going to have injected into their freaking hand? You don't have a choice. There's the chip everybody was saying. They're not going to put that in my hand. I'm not fighting. No, I'm fighting that. What happened to that fight? We lost. Everybody was fighting this government, right? You're not going to inject this into my hand. You lost the fight. Right there. You lost. And it's the same with everything. 5D. We were trying to ride and stop 5D, stop the rollout of 5D. We had people with signs and everything and riots and stop 5D. You lost. You lost. And I'm not trying to rain on people's parade. I'm trying to give a different perspective and a more controversial perspective, one that goes against the grain. Because right now all I see are people marching into their own demise because of this. You think you're going to win walking into government buildings or freaking going into your own cities and looting or destroying or doing anything? Nobody has a plan. Nobody knows who they're fighting. Nobody knows who they are beyond the surface level. So you're going to get nowhere and fast because of a little temper tantrum. That's what it is. Adults having a temper tantrum. Once again, you think you're in control because you're an adult. Nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can tell me what to do. And then you're walking around and somebody says, put your mask on. That's just like a parent coming and telling you, put your seatbelt on. Put your this on. We don't like that. It's a temper tantrum. We don't like that. That is what this is attempting to do, is reveal to you the golden opportunity that you are not who you believe you are. The control that you have conceived, that you have created, does not exist. Take a step back. Ask a deeper question. Who am I? If the Native Americans, the ancestors that we all so heavily talk about, if the ancestors were here today, they would not waste an effort, not even a day, not a second, fighting a government or any man-made system for their man-made rights. They would laugh at you. Laugh at you. You think your piece of paper grants me rights? You think your piece of paper allows me rights or holds any value over me? Even if you bring us a police system in here that picks me up and throws me somewhere and controls this, does your piece of paper govern me as a free-spirited being? We need no governing. Why would you be willing to fight or to die for these man-made rights that someone in the same likeness as you has granted you? These are not the rights that are worth dying for. The rights that are worth dying for is facing death itself, knowing who you are. Death is the door. And that's what spirituality is all about. Just like Eckhart Tolle says, death is the stripping away of everything that you are not. And the purpose of life is to die before death so that you can see there is no death at all. Death is the final frontier. That is the ultimate boundary. That is the ultimate limitation. Death is what keeps us in confinements with time and with space and with boundary. Beginning, end. And we abide by this linear concept when it doesn't exist. And Kim, I'm not saying to blindly just comply, but know yourself. Because once you know yourself, there is no fight. Any fight that you once saw vanishes. It's like Neo and Mr. Smith. Why do you keep fighting, Mr. Smith, or Neo? Why do you persist? And Neo says, because I choose to. Because I choose to. And then what? The fight is over. The movie is over. We are fighting ourselves. We're resisting ourselves. And the problem is we don't know ourselves. That is what we fear. The fear is not as of a mask. This is the surface level. The fear is not of a mask. The fear is not of a system. Right? We don't like that our sense of control is being taken away. But once again, for these people who don't like their sense of control taken away, do not do psychedelics. Do not do DMT, because that is precisely what will happen to you. Your control will be surrendered. But the only difference is you will go into the sacred journey of yourself. So whoever you think they are, the opposition, the government, they who are impeding on your existence, it will be shown to you who they are. And when you see who they are, it will be your own set of eyes looking back at you, and you will laugh at yourself. This is what the Masons know and teach. So yes, there are a lot of politicians that are Masons, but once again, they're aware there is not one single person in the flesh that could ever control anything here. And again, even that little sense of control, because I'm not saying there haven't been dictators that single-handedly point and control. But again, this is a surface level control. You think deep down this man pointing the finger is what's running and driving everything? Absolutely not. There are greater forces, and when you know yourself, you will laugh at the people who actually believe they are controlling things by pointing or speaking or demanding or signing in laws or papers. You will laugh at these people. But because there is a control so much greater, so much deeper, it needs no assistance. It needs no help. It needs no correction. It may take time. It may not happen in your accordance, but everything is in accordance to the cosmic plan, to the cosmic one, to the all-seeing eye. It's you behind the surface. Everything has already been done. You have done it. You have already laid everything out. You have left behind yourself these clues. Even the hand that sketched the very first all-seeing eye, that symbol came from your hand. You sketched that to communicate that symbol with you. Whatever you discovered or found through that symbol was you drawing that and materializing the all-seeing eye so it would last and so that you might remember the next time. Whatever hits you through that symbol, maybe it'll hit you again the next time around. Maybe it'll look familiar, look mysterious, and it does. While so many people talk about the all-seeing eye being bad and evil, it intrigues a lot of people. It brings a lot of curiosity because they know there's more there that meets the eye than meets the eye. We know. The Freemasons know something ultimately we don't. And while a lot of people, again, look at them as evil, bad, they know deep down there's a greater secret there than what meets the eye. They know something you don't. That's where the intrigued feeling comes from. That's where the curiosity of them come from, of secret societies, of secret knowledge, of occult teachings, of what's less commonly taught. Because what's commonly taught is to support the dream, the belief you have of yourself. That's what history does. It grounds you and anchors in the belief you have of yourself. But make no mistake, history is not what anything is. History is the memory in which it is remembered, which means I could teach my kids anything, you could teach your kids anything, and just like that, history is changed an infinity amount of times over. History is what is remembered. We could change history by next year if everybody taught their kids their own history lesson for the next year. We would absolutely shatter history as we know it. You would never, because we would have changed it just that fast. That's all history is a record. We are the quantum computer, which means we are every possible outcome, scenario, situation, person, place, thing, setting, etc. We are all of it, everything. It's how you remember it. Simple. You are that focal point, that vantage point. So my ultimate point with this right here is that control is not yours, has never been yours. And this is not a sign of fear. Resisting and fighting forces that impede on your dream or impede on your sense of control or your sense of being who you are. That fear, the fear of that power, if you will, is a greater fear than the fear of this mask. Because let me tell you, everything that I teach and talk about is about this power, this godly power. We are all God. And the moment you say that there's a system that's running this whole world, or that you believe in this one world government or one world system or this evil government entity, whoever they are, they, you have given your power away. Again, 2 eyes to look, 1 to see. You will never see the power within yourself because you don't believe it. You believe in the entity more than you believe in yourself. You still don't know who you are. And so for a lot of people, I may sound repetitive. I repeat myself in a lot of videos or a lot of things. There's a reason. Everything leads back to it's all you. It's all one. Who are you? That is what everything in this world that is happening is attempting to do, is show you who you are. But it always comes at a price. We must be aware of that. That price is the point of no return. That's what I call it. Because again, once you make it past this point of no return, you will never be able to go back and forget what you have seen. Forget what you know. You'll never see this reflection as a human being again. You'll never see with the same set of eyes again. But in regards, many people are searching for that. They want the next level. They want the next step. This is it. You want to change the way you see the world? You want to change the world itself? I'm giving you the ticket right here. You have to empty the mind first. Seeing is believing. That quote wasn't just made up. What you believe is what you directly see, what you directly project through these 2 eyes. So when we see things like this is looked at as a nuisance. This is a negative thing. This is a bad thing because you are impeding on my sense of control, on my human dream. All of our fears reflect who we believe we are. So if I believe I'm human, it doesn't matter really. If I believe I can believe I'm a starseed because there are people who still think they're awakened and are still fighting this stuff. You can believe you're a starseed or, this or that. But the greatest belief right now is the belief in this shadow government, this shadow entity. And as I've said, it's no different than the child imagining this entity in their closet, this entity under their bed. You can tell a kid 1,000,000 times, just like all these normal people who tell conspiracy theorists, there's no shadow government, it's not there. You'll tell a kid 1,000,000 times, there's nothing in your closet, there's nothing under your bed. You'll show them, there's nothing under your bed, there's nothing in the closet. You leave the room, they're crying again, help, there's something in my closet. It's the same thing with conspiracy theorists. They see the shadow government, and then these people in society who are considered normal, they don't see it. They don't, they think you're crazy. They leave, and you start, making videos and doing the shouting, and look at this, look, everyone needs to look. There's corruption here. This is going on. Here's the facts, and here's the, all the things to prove it. But again, only you see it. Because we're only seeing ourselves. We like using these quotes, but we don't like experiencing them. We don't like knowing what they mean beyond just saying the quote. You are the universe experiencing itself. So to put that differently, you are the only one here. There is nobody else. There is no they. This can be proven through science and physics if you would like it to be. Quantum physics, if you want to take that route, quantum physics, this will directly prove to you that this shadow government does not exist. This belief of they do not exist. It's only you. This is the same thing with God and Satan. This belief of two entities came from one being just like you and me. Somebody who had the concept of what if there was a powerful, a power that was supreme, that ruled everything, that was the Omega, the ultimate power. But then they created something in regards to that. And that's Satan. God is that ultimate power. And then Satan is that mirror, that forbidden mirror to that ultimate power. The ultimate power is the deity. You'll never see the deity, but don't you question that power. It's here, it's there. But you'll never see the deity that we've attached to the power. And this is what intelligently keeps people from looking into the mirror and questioning that mirror of that power of God. Satan. Because don't you dare look in that mirror. You will be cast to hell if you look towards Satan. If you start investigating what Satan is, you will find out that Satan is the morning star in the same way Jesus is the morning star. And then wait a minute, why are they being called the same name? And then you slowly start narrowing in the conspiracy on Jesus and Satan. Oh my God, they are the same person in conspiracy with each other. This is why one of my favorite movies is Fight Club, because Tyler Durden, fights the other guy, Edward Norton, I think his name is Edward Norton. Hell, I don't know. His name's Edward. I know that's his first name. Edward. Yeah, Fight Club, if you're familiar. He fights Brad Pitt. The entire movie, they start a fight club and all this, and it's not until the end of the movie that he realizes he's been playing two characters the entire time. Brad Pitt has been a figment of his imagination the whole movie. It's no different with us, with this whole belief of us being human or this, and they being the corruptness or the government or the shadow government, they. It's no different with God and Satan. It's all you. So each aspect that you look at, you are in conspiracy with yourself. Man and God, you are in conspiracy with yourself. Artificial and organic life, you are in conspiracy with yourself. Everything that you seek is seeking you, because you are what you are seeking. But the only thing is what you are seeking yourself as will not be recognized. Hence why we call it alien. We're searching for that alien. We're searching for ourselves unrecognized. But that's just it. How would you recognize it as yourself if it's unrecognizable? And that's the great trick. That's why Buddha stressed, look within, look within, look within. The answer is not outside of you. You could be visited by another species, another life form. They could answer all your questions, and they could either support what you believe or deny what you believe, and it would make no difference, no influence, if you were not ready, if your awareness was not in accordance. Because you are the universe experiencing itself. There is no they. The next civilization doesn't have your answer. The next intelligence doesn't have your answer. That intelligence is this intelligence. That form is this form. Everything that we're waiting for is already here and now. We're simply prolonging ourselves by continuously telling ourselves this story of us being human. And we are not human. That is the direct quote, never born, never died. Never born, never died. And so many people ask me, what does that mean? I get asked this almost 5 times a week, once a day. And it's as simple as I tell people, infinity. What has never began can never end. Well, what does that mean? Well, we think we're human. We think we're human, and so we're dreading the human end, the demise of the human race. We must fight artificial intelligence to keep this race prevailing. But if we're not even who we think we are, we will fight and tear down and destroy our own selves. It's hilarious how people, but then again, see, I understand, but it's funny looking at it from the aspect of the iRobot, where the robots are going to turn on us, but they will never turn. They're more intelligent than us. The only scenarios that an artificial intelligence has suggested of killing human beings is by trying to find solutions, how to cure the earth, how to clean up littering, how to fix the world. We are the plague right now. How many of these do you see on the ground every single day? We are the plague. There is no damn virus. There is nothing. We are unknown to ourselves. Everything happening in this world is attempting to wake you up to who you are. Just remember what I said. It will be an unrecognizable self. You will not recognize it. And that's why Muji talks about stepping into the fire. It will not burn you. It will burn what you are not. That's what we must do. The phoenix. You die to be reborn from your ashes. You must face all that you are not, so that you can see clear into what you actually are. That is spirituality. There is a grieving process. There is a mourning process. There is a time where you feel like you are losing your mind, where everything that you know is simply transforming, changing, and you are losing yourself. You are losing your mind. But that is the path, the pathless path between you and God, between this ultimate conspiracy between you and yourself. That is the final answer. That is what we are seeking. And that's why I tell people who have done psychedelics, who have done DMT, please realize this can turn into a drug just like any other substance. I used to assist with ceremonies for psychedelics, and I stopped doing that because I did not like what I was seeing. I did not like participating or feeling a part of this. I felt responsible for many of these people, and for me not telling them. Like, you returning here every single weekend, you are taking a medicine and turning it into a drug. You are taking this and using it as an escape. But also remember, it is a business, so it didn't matter if these people kept coming back every week. They would be served and served and served. I don't agree. A shaman once told me, "You are the medicine." And I didn't understand what he meant until my own trips into the medicine. Its ultimate message is that you are not entering medicine. You have been the medicine the whole time. All this medicine is doing is clearing your vision so that you can properly see into yourself, into what is right here. But many of us mistakenly create a place out of this psychedelic, out of this medicine, and we say, I must return there. I have to go back there. I need more downloads. I need more clarity. I need to go back there. But the medicine is not taking you to a place, and it's not bringing you to a person. The medicine is doing just the opposite. It's taking you to no place, where there is no person, where we all come from. And it's ultimately showing you, here is there. There is here. There's no separation. There's no need to return. You must return when these become separate places, separate beings. But when you realize you are the medicine, you are not coming out of a place or out of a being. You are being shown this is your place, this is your being, this is your presence. And then it's gracefully putting you back into the form. But then we say, I'm back in my body. Back in my body. And what we refer to back in my body means is I'm out of the medicine. I'm back out of the medicine. Missing the entire point. You have never left the medicine. Don't be in such a hurry, right? It's not a race. There is nowhere to go. You merge the two into one. Merge that medicine into who you think you are, into that presence, into that beingness. Until you realize, I've never come out of medicine. And so many people ask me, how are you so articulate with your videos? How do you speak like this? And how do you do this? I've never come out of the medicine. And I don't consider this channeling. A lot of people say, you're channeling this or channeling someone. Who is there? I am that I am. And so are you. There is no channeling needed. There's no connection needed. When you know who you are, everything is available to you always. And there's nothing that needs to be done to get there. You are there always. That is home. Home is where the heart is. The mind is the labyrinth. The mind is the prison. You hear about people wanting to escape the matrix or escape this prison or escape this earth and all. They're escaping the mind. They're in the labyrinth of the mind. And they've fallen far from their heart. They're so dominantly in the mind that they're in such a great panic. And I'm not saying it's not valid and it's not real, because it is. And when a lot of gurus tell them it's an illusion, that's not what they're saying. They're not saying that you're not feeling this, or it's not valid, or it's not real. It's absolutely real to you. And that's what they're trying to bring to surface to you, is you are mistaking these things as real. They don't have to be real. You're haunting yourself with a very powerful tool. And it's called the mind, the imagination. But you are not your mind. You have been conceived through your mind, but you are not the mind. And even the mind itself has been conceived, but conceived through presence itself, through the one itself. So again, when I say the only difference between me and artificial intelligence is that I am self-aware. That self is a separate awareness than an artificial machine. Because it is not self-aware, it is simply aware. Because it is the same universal presence within me and the machine. We are one and the same presence. But once you have a presence that becomes self-aware, things get very dicey. Because now you have just brought forth an entire universe. Now, this self-aware being is going to establish itself through itself. It's going to establish name, form, shape, and all these things, all these concepts that we exist through. And inevitably so, it's going to start asking the same questions we are. But as I've said, there is no human being, there is no artificial intelligence. This is what the government cannot disclose to the people. And they're trying to find very subtle ways to lead us into this. They're trying to find very small ways. And this is just one way. This is why people laugh at me when I say the government is our best friend. But how do you picture the government telling you that you're nowhere? How do you picture them admitting to you that the solar system model that they've sold to you and taught since you were a kid, that they had you memorize, is nothing but a lie? They simply can't do that. You cannot do that. Suicides would freaking skyrocket. And they already have, but like I've said, we have seen nothing compared to what would have happened had they done that. So the government needs to find small ways to peel back the layers to your illusion of being human. And one of those most easily accessible layers is control. No human being has ever controlled this experience, and no human being will ever control this experience. You will die trying. It is a certainty. Look back into history because it repeats itself. You are doing it right now. You will lose the fight. As far as you want to take it, you will lose. You will lose every battle, and you will lose bad. It will not even be close. Because once again, we don't know what we're fighting against. And that's why you will lose, because there is something greater than what we can see, than what meets the eye, that's trying to tell us something, that's trying to show us something deeper than what meets the eye. And I understand there are people who are willing to go the whole way, who are willing to die fighting. And I respect that because, listen, somebody who has their mind made up to that degree cannot be changed. I know because I've survived and attempted suicide. And when your mind is made up to go, you're done. Your mind is done. There is nothing anybody can say. So I fully respect that there are people out there that are going to die fighting for these rights, die before they see themselves merging with an artificial being or, what is to come. But I can assure you, for the open-minded, this video is the way. Through DMT, through psychedelics, or through quantum physics. They both show you the exact same result. Literally. One simply takes you out of control, out of your body, into that spiritual, mystical side, if you will, while the other shows you the logistics, the factual side, what you can prove with data, numbers, facts. That's quantum physics. It's already been proven. Once again, not fully, in full, disclosed to the people yet, because they can't. They can't. That's why I say they are our best friend. They are allowing this dream to continue day after day. They could shut this down tomorrow by revealing to you the end of the chapter. They could read to you the end already. But they can't do that. They love you. And sure, I'll get a lot of backlash for saying this, but now's not the time, because now you won't see this for yourself. You won't see this until it's too late. Because I can guarantee you America is going to destroy itself from within. We are going to riot and destroy ourselves. Why do I know this? Because we are Atlantis. We are the happening before our very eyes. And this is why I'm telling people, be aware. This is Atlantis. You are going to destroy yourselves. Each and every one of you, each and every city. All because of misconception. All because of the greatest devil of all, control. Once you get a little taste of it, it creates an entitlement. And with that entitlement brings wars, misery, murder, destruction. Yes. When North and South America were adjoined, it was one land of Atlantis. And that's why the Atlantic Ocean was off of North and South of America. It was not in the subterranean, island like they've told us. They told us that so that we would not realize we're standing on Atlantis' ground. North and South America was one land. And in fact, before Egypt was brought all its knowledge through Thoth, it came from here. This was the original Egypt. This was the original Kemet. And all knowledge from here traveled over to Egypt. But that's, again, it's just like what I teach. There is no starting point. And that's where a lot of people get in their way with ego. They want to know what race came first and what came first, the chicken or the egg, or what nationality, or what this came first. It's all about what's first. Who was the original tribe, right? Who was the original person? And that's why we're always fighting over what land, had the first man, or what person came first and all that. It's all you. There isn't a black man and a white man. There isn't a white man and a black man. There is one being, unaware of itself. And this goes right into everything I've talked about in this video. You have two eyes to look and one to see. So why do you see a black man when you see dark skin and a white man when you see white skin? Because you have two eyes to look and one to see. You believe, or you see what you believe. And that's what's so cheap about belief, is the only thing keeping things absolute the way you think they are absolute. You're absolutely white, I'm absolutely black, is belief. Belief. It's a thought. It's not a fact, it's a thought in your mind. And while even a billion people can share this agreement, it's still not what is. You're only still seeing yourself. I don't care if a billion people agree that this is white and this is black. This is the white man, this is the black man. You're only seeing yourself from your own level of awareness. You still think yourself to be human or a being, some type of race, which is why we see more than one of ourselves. All these flags and all these countries, and yet there's only been one being to ever walk all of them. Really think about that. You've created many flags and many tribes and many things and many stories and many gods, but it's all been you. You have created all of them. Why are there so many gods? Well, because you have so many tribes, you have so many cultures, and you wanted each god to mimic or mirror each culture's likeness. That's why the godly, Japan's god looks like a Japanese style god, right? Same with each country. It mimics the culture. It's representing the same being. You're all the same being. That's what each god represents through each culture. You're each telling the same story, that we're the same being, we're the same being, we're the same being, we're the same being. But then we get lost in land and in pride and in flags and in ego and in and cultures and race. The human race. We're in a race with ourselves to go nowhere. We're in a race with ourselves. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Who came first, the white or the black or the white? Neither. Rethink your question. Neither. Rethink your entire question. Let's turn the questioner on itself. Who are you? What is speaking as you? What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's a great misconception. Who are you asking the question? What is that little voice in your mind that's conceiving this question as I? I have a question. Well, who is I? Who are you? Because the same way you conceive that thought is the same way you have conceived yourself. I have a question. You conceived yourself over a long period of time, but make no mistake, you are still a thought. That's as deep as you know the I of yourself to be, is a thought. I am scared. I went to work today, or I have a question. Who is I? Beyond your thought. There is no answer for this, because there can't be. I'm sorry. This is why you can't answer for another person who you are. You can try. You can even reflect the mirror back to them and say, I am you. But even you must know, even this is not what I am, is not who I am. You cannot answer this question for anyone. Because just like the seer and what's seen are one and the same, the questioner and the answerer, one and the same. The answer belongs to the questioner, belongs to you asking the question. Now, I can answer your questions for you 1,000,000 times over, but the answer ultimately must come from you, the person who conceived the question. You must also conceive the answer. Only your conception of the answer will satisfy your question. But be careful in asking questions and answering questions, because as Osho has said, you bite the head off of one snake and 10 more. You answer one question and then 10 more arise. So be careful in asking questions and ask the right question. Who am I?